I mean, what do you expect them to say? This time we won't be shredding documents that you're asking for. Greetings and welcome back, everybody. Garrett Wines-Earl here, as always, with Kyle Ferguson, and this is Nexus Gaming News. There has been yet another major development in the ongoing story of the discrimination lawsuit against Activision Blizzard, which I'm starting to think that I should just record that and play it back to save myself some time for future reports. What's new today is that the Wall Street Journal reported just yesterday on Monday, September 20th, that the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission, more commonly known as the SEC, has subpoenaed Activision. So far, several senior level executives have been subpoenaed, but most notably, Activision CEO himself, Bobby Kotick. As reported by the Wall Street Journal, the SEC has asked for, quote, documents including minutes from Activision board meetings since 2019, personnel files of 6 former employees, and separation agreements the company has reached this year with staffers. Also, the SEC has requested communications from Kotick to other senior executives pertaining to complaints of sexual harassment and discrimination. This extends to complaints involving Activision employees as well as Activision contractors. Now, Kyle, you and I are not lawyers, and I imagine many watching or listening are also not lawyers. So for all of our sakes, a subpoena is essentially a summons that government agencies can issue that compels testimony or production of evidence. It seems like we're dealing with the latter in this case, and this includes penalties for failing to comply.
So there's quite a bit to unpack here. The official break was on that Wall Street Journal site. However, since then, many other outlets have picked it up, including Wowhead, Polygon, PC Gamer. It goes on. So across those, we found out that it's not just Bobby Kotick. Of course, that was the one that we all heard the name of. We know the name of. This is also referring to CFO Dennis Durkin and former CFO Spencer Newman. And what they want to do is figure out from the inside, from their own personal communications, if they knew that this was going to reach this level, if these allegations and these troubles were going to affect stocks. And that's where we really get at the crux of what's going on here. That's a really interesting delineation, right? Because so much of the conversation being had around this news breaking in the community is finally justice for the victims, when it might be more, any justice that comes out of this might be more collateral justice, because the concern here, the whole focus of the SEC is to figure out, as you said, whether or not Activision essentially adequately disclosed these allegations so that anyone wrapped up in Activision Blizzard stock could act accordingly. Right, and act with their best interests in mind. So while there may be an emotional victory, even a schadenfreude victory that takes place as we enjoy Kotick going to a court date, ultimately this is for the shareholders. In fact, Wowhead put it best. As a publicly traded company, Activision is required to issue regular material statements about what is happening within their business, which may impact shareholders' value and the resulting stock price, so that an invested public can make reasoned and informed decisions about whether to buy and sell public shares. So this gets into a whole thing known as the Sarbanes-Oxley Act of 2002, which is shortened to SOX. Executives must disclose any ongoing legal issues, investigations, audits, or other procedures that could affect the value of the business. Now, when we look at what they said back in 2016, we can now read into it, but it's all kind of rose-tinted glasses. So in the Activision statement from their 2016 SOX report, they said, "We are party to routine claims, suits, investigation, audits, and other proceedings that arise from ordinary courses of business." And it's all rather plain and goes on like this. Now we know what that ordinary business was, but looking at a 2016 lens in it, you could say, oh yeah, well, of course, any business that's large and has lots of money is going to be routinely attacked for its intellectual property, taxation matters, compliance with different organizations. Of course, no big deal. I'll buy stocks.
Yeah, and so much of this has only come to light recently this year, right? We know that the original lawsuit that kind of kicked this whole thing off from the state of California is part of a now 2-year-old investigation. So we know at least that the Activision Blizzard leadership was, or at least should have been, aware of the fact that they were being investigated, because the state of California would have informed them that they were being investigated. However, Kyle, you've found it was reported publicly, but I haven't seen anyone talking about this. An Equal Employment Opportunity Commission examination of allegations of gender-based harassment at Activision since as early as May of 2020. There's articles talking about this. I'll have linked to a .esports article mentioning this, again, dated from May of 2020, in the blog post for this episode.
Right. And this is yet another organization that has come to light as we dig deeper and deeper into these matters and discover how long this has been going on. However, this one doesn't quite have the legal investigation levels that we've been seeing out of the state of California and now in the federal level. This is likely to be a millions of dollars fine, which ultimately to a company worth as much as Activision Blizzard is not going to make a huge dent nor cause much change. So this is more of a punishment for the company for not complying with the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission.
And which is, again, another government level, like non-state specific entity. You know, we just talked about a few days ago the National Labor Relations Board, the NLRB, filing an official, like, federal level complaint against Activision Blizzard. But now with the SEC, we're getting another federal level body involved.
So we mentioned that they are looking for documents from these higher up individuals to see if they wrongfully lied to the shareholders. Those documents in particular that they're looking for are things like minutes from the Activision board meetings since 2019, personal files of up to 6 former employees. So we only know the one, which would be CFO Spencer Newman. However, of course, we know quite a few former employees that are being investigated. Separation agreements from the company in recent years with staffers, which makes a lot of sense. We even talked about that on our last episode here. And Mr. Kotick's communications with other senior executives regarding complaints of sexual harassment or discrimination by Activision's employees or contractors. This is where you'd get into like his personal kind of Slack exchanges that he's had with his other higher-ups, and if they actively hid things from the shareholders.
Yeah, which it's hard from the outside looking in to not immediately think about Alex Afrasiabi, who was a very well-known World of Warcraft developer that was quietly shuffled off out of the company with a severance package and has come to light was one of the main offenders of all of the complaints and the kind of the focal point of the lawsuit that the state of California has brought against Activision Blizzard. It's exactly where my brain goes.
Exactly. Interesting note here that this lawsuit that got a lot of this going for the investors. So the investors saw all this happen and then decided to make a suit at the company. And you may have heard that some of the investors were suing Activision Blizzard for wrongful practices. They wouldn't have invested otherwise. Well, interestingly enough, this is the exact same law firm, Rosen Law Firm, that did the CD Projekt Red Cyberpunk suit for the wrongful advertising of their incomplete product when it released.
Oh, really? This is news to me.
So the quote that is sort of running this lawsuit, at least from the investor side. So there are many Blizzard Activision Kings being attacked from so many angles here. You have federal level, state level, and the actual lawsuits from the investors. But in particular, this is, if investors had known the extent of Activision Blizzard's issues, they wouldn't have invested in their stocks.
Well, again, that's kind of the crux of all of this, right? That's why the SEC is getting involved.
Exactly.
It's just more scrutiny, and this is the first development that actively involves Bobby Kotick,
which a lot of people have been excited to see him targeted in some way throughout this. It is a art-based company, at least on the Blizzard end. People see their developers, they get to know their developers. However, we see these huge and frankly insane amounts of bonuses and income from the higher-ups like Bobby Kotick. And that is not in relation to the art projects or the video games they're putting out. It is merely because he is the face of the company. And is he doing a job worth thousands of employees' salaries? Many are saying no. Again, this gets back to the emotional level. This is not what's actually happening in the government level or with the suits. People are just excited to see Bobby taken down a little bit.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. He's not to say he's not a popular figure within the gaming community surrounding Activision Blizzard would be putting it mildly. It seems to be, it's a thing most people can agree on. It's so rare we can agree on a damn thing within World of Warcraft. But
well, this is nothing new though. Like it's easy to think of many of these things as modern advancements, but I mean, think of your old Simpsons episodes where they would talk about Fox higher-ups as being these conniving evil vampires portrayed in some ways. You had Futurama that described them as dice-rolling robots. South Park had an episode where they had a board and they cut off a chicken's head and it ran around in circles, and that's where the company decided to go from the higher-up level. Firefly getting canceled. These companies and entertainment movies, they're investment firms, if you will. You take a bunch of money, you make a product, and you turn it into more money. And at the highest level, we see things that can seem insane to us, like the recent acquisition of a Delta employee. This is Sandy Dube, the Delta Airlines incoming executive, was named Chief Commercial Officer. And we go, Delta Airlines? No. Wait, hang on. We know all kinds of trouble with them. What are they doing making video games? They're not. They're running the higher up decisions, which is basically these investments.
Yeah, it is cold. It is calculated. It is the life of senior executives in multi-billion-dollar corporations, and that's exactly what's going on here. And that's the disconnect, because we as fans want to see a human reaction. We want to see an emotional reaction, and it's not something we're going to get from senior level executives that are choosing their words extremely carefully, because this is still an open lawsuit.
And there was even an advancement just this morning in some of these ongoing leavings and hirings.
Oh, yeah, that is correct. The chief legal officer for Blizzard Entertainment specifically, this is specifically Blizzard, not Activision Blizzard King, Claire Hart, departed Blizzard Entertainment on Friday. This was just reported late last night. Because, well, Claire Hart herself made a LinkedIn post announcing it. And really, there's not much else here besides that. It's clearly being linked by every gaming news outlet you can think of to everything else going on, the lawsuit, this new SEC filing, and our subpoenas and everything else. But if you are like us and you follow Blizzard developers on Twitter, Claire Hart's statement on LinkedIn doesn't read any different than, I would say, the vast majority of Blizzard employees who quit. They take a selfie at the orc statue and they're like, it was a lovely experience for insert the years they were here. On to the next thing. And that's pretty much what's going on with Claire Hart's statement here. She doesn't mention anything about the lawsuit or this new SEC development. But of course, it's being linked together because she's a chief legal officer.
Of course. And what a time for a legal officer to leave, but also the statement that she made, the past 3 years have been full of unexpected twists and turns. I feel honored, and they go on, but it's a rather poignant statement for one to make in front of the orc statue, as it were. We do have several official statements from the company. These are all coming from Clancy.
I bet they're extremely down to earth and relatable.
The company is cooperating with the SEC.
Boy, howdy. Breaking.
They also go on to say, with the updates on the NLRB suit, has made great efforts to respect the rights of all employees under the NLRB. Informative information.
Yes. I mean, what do you expect them to say? This time we won't be shredding documents that you're asking for. Well, anyways, as always, this is going to be an ongoing story. You can expect to hear us talk more about new developments in the lawsuit concerning Activision Blizzard. If you like what we're doing here, you want to catch more episodes of Nexus Gaming News, please be sure to like and subscribe on YouTube. Also, probably go ahead and ring that notification bell, because then you'll be sure to be notified when we put up new episodes. And if you're one of our podcast listeners, thank you so much. Please also subscribe wherever it is you get your podcasts. I know you can stream them, but it helps the show a lot if you subscribe and you download the new episodes. I'm Garrett Art on Twitter. Kyle can be found at Kyle Ferguson. And until the next NGN, good luck and have fun, everyone.